Hey guys, so I'm sitting down for this video. Very exciting. I'm wearing a sweater because it is sweater weather now. It was raining earlier, which is why I'm sitting on a chair instead of in the grass like I normally do because obviously it's soaking wet. I love the rain. It's so nice. I wish it rained more often. This is like a very rare occasion in Southern California, but I will enjoy every moment of it that I have. So, this is a very serious format with me sitting down on a chair, very proper, but I'm going to talk about Yosemite and my Yosemite trip, which is pretty fun and lighthearted. So we're just going to take you on an adventure. So, at the end of June, I think it was before I went to Colorado. Oh, please, is it raining? No. Oh. I'll just cry. Well, it's not getting on me yet, so I think we're fine. It's definitely starting to rain, but so far I'm not getting wet. Okay, so I don't know if I'll actually be able to finish this video, but we'll do the best that we can with what we got. I'll try to keep it fast and short and try not to get soaking wet in the process. So, I wanted to go to Yosemite. I had never really been. I went once when I was in 4th grade, 9 years old. It was my grandparents' reunion that they wanted to have, so my cousins and aunts and uncles all went. I was super young, so I didn't do any hiking or basically didn't see anything. I just went to the lodge and walked around the valley, but I didn't go to any of the cool spots. So that's a huge reason why I wanted to go back, because I wanted to finally be able to feel like I saw Yosemite and did it justice and properly. Obviously, we'll get to that in a minute. But so I'm supposed to go with Emily. We're supposed to leave on Sunday, and she texts me on Thursday night, I want to say, and she's like, "I'm not feeling well. I don't think I'll be able to go this weekend." And I'm like, praying that she feels better so she can go, not just, you know, for my sake, but one, like, I don't know, I guess half for my sake as well. But she didn't get better. She texted me Friday and she was like, "I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. I just need to rest and get over it. It's not getting better." So I texted every single person that I knew in California, every single person. People who I'm close with, people who I'm not close with, people who I knew probably couldn't come, people who I knew probably wanted to come but couldn't, people who I knew probably didn't want to come, all of the above. And finally, these two guys who I have not seen and talked to really that much in 2 years say that they are down to go. So I'm like, okay, I got two people who are saying they're down to go. The only problem is one of them lives in the Fresno area, so he's super close, great for him. The other one lives in the Bay Area, so a little bit further, but the main problem is I'm gonna have to drive by myself. I've done that before. In March, I went to my friend's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, so I went a little bit earlier, and I made the trek all the way to Fresno for her wedding by myself. But the difference is I'm really busy in the summer, and I already did the road trip to Colorado, and I've just been like non-stop on the move, so I was pretty tired at this point. That was my main concern, is just like I knew I could do it mentally, like I could make the drive. It's just whether I physically could do it and not exhaust myself was the main concern. So I was really bummed in that aspect, because at first I was like, oh, I don't even know if I still want to go because I'm still gonna have to make the drive by myself, which was like the huge hurdle that I had to get over. But as I always normally do, I say, what the heck, let's just go for it. And so I said, throw caution to the wind, we're gonna do it. So I got there first at the campsite, and then Ethan got there next. So my context with Ethan and Isaac, the two people that said that they could go, is we worked at Hume Lake in 2018 together. They did sound, and I was in like the photo stuff, and we just, I don't know, started hanging out. We're like a trio. They definitely were friends first, and then I just kind of like tagged along. But they honestly made my Hume experience so special and memorable. I got a lot closer to them towards the end, but I had like one of my best birthdays ever. We went stargazing in the canyon. We did that for like 2 or 3 nights in a row because of the meteor shower over my birthday every year in California. And they were the first ones to like introduce me to the meteor shower, and for me to witness that was just really special. We went to other cool places. We went on a like really awesome hike that was just honestly like very, I don't want to say like life transformative. It was just a hike, but like it solidified my love for hiking, the backcountry to be specific, and it's like the first outing we did as a group, the 3 of us, so we just had hours all day to talk, and I think that's why we got so close. So we have this like history of going on fun adventures in Kings Canyon, and we actually wanted to go to Yosemite that year, but there were fires that closed down Yosemite while we wanted to go, so that's why we went on that other hike. It's called like the Lakes Trail. There's 4 high mountain lakes in Sequoia, and it's just like ruins hiking for you because it's just so beautiful. So I get there, and then Ethan gets there, and we set up camp. He ends up sleeping in his hammock. I think it's because he forgot a tent, question mark. I'm pretty sure he forgot his tent, which is why he ended up sleeping in his hammock. Luckily it was the summer and not cold outside. So maybe he did bring his tent and he just didn't want to set it. Oh, he forgot his sleeping pad. That's what it was. He had a tent but not a sleeping pad, which is why he went in his hammock. So we had a fun time. There's like not service really there. It's like hit or miss body service. So we kind of communicated with Isaac. He was going to come up that next morning because he was just too tired from work to come up that night. And so we were like, hey, we're going to leave at like 7 a.m. So just funny thinking about it now. So we stayed up late, Ethan and I, just talking, catching up, like hearing about each other's lives. And then we wake up kind of late. We hadn't gotten a text from Isaac that he'd left yet. And we were like, is he even going to come? Like, where is he? So we finally get a text from him saying that he's probably going to get there around 8, I think is what he said, or 9. And then 9 o'clock rolls around and we're like, he's still not here, but he finally texts that he left and was going to be around, I think, like 10 at this point or something like that. I'm surprised I haven't gone wet. This is nice awning. It's like definitely raining right now. So we are like, okay, we'll just get in line and then we will and then like he'll just meet. Oh no, this is what we were gonna do. I kind of forget because so many different plans change. So we were like, we're just gonna go into the park and he can meet us in the park. Like, we'll come back for him. That's what we were gonna do. We were gonna go into the park and then we were gonna come back for him because we didn't know like when and if he was going to show up. So we pull out of our campground. This is right outside of the park because that's the best I could do short notice. It was a lucky random chance that I even got reservations because, side note, I forgot to tell you this, but I didn't realize until I think a week before. Oh, the rain's starting to get to me. Oh man. Okay. I don't think I realized until a week before that I needed to have reservations to get inside the park. Like, obviously I had camping reservations, but I didn't realize you needed reservations to get inside the park. So my mom helped me with that. And that was like super risky because I wouldn't have even been able to go regardless if Emily got sick if I didn't have reservations. So that was a lucky happenstance for me. So we pull out of the campground and it stopped. Like after like a minute of driving, it's just stopped to get inside the park. And it's literally like a mile or 2 from the park entrance, and it took us an hour. So we're waiting and we have no service, and so we're like, well, how are we going to communicate with Isaac that we're like stuck in line and that he should park and then like run to us in our car? So I take over the car because this is Ethan's car. I take over and then Ethan runs back to the campground because this is where Isaac thinks that he's going to meet us, is the campground. I have no service. So I just keep plugging along as the like cars inch forward, and I'm like, I'm getting closer. Like, it's been an hour, I think. And then I finally get inside the park and I have service again. And so I try to text them and I'm like, I'm in the park, like, where are you? And they're like, Isaac just showed up right now. We're like, I don't know, I think it's like 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away from getting there on foot. So I'm waiting, I like go to the bathroom and stuff like that, and it's really only like a 10-minute parking zone. So finally, they walk through and we're in the park and Isaac's there and it's the three of us again. And so now we finally have to drive another like 45 minutes to get to the valley. We're inside the park, so there's not like traffic anymore. So then we get there and it's super hot. I think it's like one of the hottest weekends in Yosemite Valley. It was, I'm pretty sure, 100 degrees outside. It was insane. So we get there, we get water, I think we get some food, put on sunscreen, all that fun stuff. And then we do the hike to Vernal Falls, which is pretty strenuous. I had not hiked like that in a very long time. So definitely pretty winded, but we had some like really fun conversations going on the way up, and then we got there and we like hung out for a bit, and the squirrels there are so aggressive. They're so used to people, so they just come up all in your business trying to steal your food, and if you try to flinch at them or like flick at them, they just close their eyes and flinch, but they don't like run away scared. They're just, if you like throw your hand at them or something to like shoo them away, they're just like, and then they're fine. They just keep pressing along. So that was very fun and interesting. We went to the top of Vernal Falls and hung out around there. And then we hiked back down, and by this time I think it was like the late afternoon, like 4 p.m. or something, and we went into the river, the Merced River. I almost forgot what it's called, but it's the Merced River. That was super fun. It was really cold, and the sun was starting to like go down a little bit, but we all three went all the way in up to our necks, which was a huge feat because it's pretty cold water. But something that we talked about in general, because like last 3 years ago, I guess you could say, when we went on the Lakes Trail, I didn't want to go in the water with my clothes, and neither did Isaac, so Ethan was the only one that actually, oh, my timer's going off saying I'm talking for a long time. I'll try to wrap things up, but it's probably going to be a long video. So so Ethan was the only one that went in and had that like amazing experience in this like wonderful lake swimming. He says that we ruined swimming for him because it was so beautiful. Also, that is the loudest plane ever. And my throat is starting to hurt because I'm talking. So I'm not even on day 2 yet. And day 2 is like a highlight. So no, day 1 is pretty highlight too. They're equally worthy of in-depth conversation. So so then after that, I think got like some food at the convenience store, and then we went up to Glacier Point and we watched the sunset. There were lots of other people there. It was very pretty, and just again like wonderful conversations, catching up with them. So then we drove back to the campground and we just hung out in the car for like another 2 hours, just talking about theology and church and random fun conversations. I think Isaac ended up leaving around midnight, and I think he had to be up at like 6 a.m. the next day, so he's a real trooper for that. But that was just so much fun. And then we had to switch campgrounds. We already did this like that previous morning because I can only reserve each campground for one night, because again I did this like super last minute. So then we're at our new campground, and the same campground, different site, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we sleep in a little bit. We wanted to wake up a little bit earlier, but since we're up so late 2 nights in a row, we did sleep in for a little bit till like 8 or 9 or something like that, 10 o'clock. So we got inside Yosemite again probably around 11-ish or so, and it's still a pretty hot day. We decided to do Yosemite Falls. So this is a fun story. So we both kind of had a miscommunication of like what we thought this hike was going to be. I thought it was going to be like the hike before, to where I don't know how to describe this, but my impression is you could hike to the bottom of Yosemite Falls, which is like super short and boring, and then there was this other point that you could hike to, and then on that trail you could hike to the top. And so in my head, we were hiking to this point where you could see the falls like up close, but that's not what we were doing. We were on the trail to go to the top, but we were not prepared at all. We started this hike at like noon, and we did not have enough water and food, and it was blazing hot. Most people start this hike at like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. So we got to the point that we were originally supposed to go on, and well, we get to that point, and then we realized really quickly, because we're like, we should be here by now. You know, like, this is only supposed to be a X amount of miles of hike, and we've done that already, because we could check on our phones or something like that. And it was very, very, very steep switchbacks to get up. It was very strenuous. We were just honestly dying the whole time. So we're like, darn it, we're on the wrong hike. He thought he took us on the wrong hike. And then I like did more research on the map, and I was like, no, this is the hike that I chose for us to go on, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. So then we heard from people that you could go a little bit further and you could see the falls from like a certain angle. And so we ended up getting to that point, seeing the falls, and then turning around. But maybe one day we will, we, meaning us together or individually on our own, will be able to hike to the top and swim in the pools up at the top, because apparently there's like swimming holes that you can swim up there, which would be just so amazing. And then same with Vernal Falls. So Vernal Falls is like, we hiked the same amount on each day, which were each the halfway points to, one was to Half Dome, and then one was to the top of Yosemite. So my goal next time is, like, I did half of the journey already. My goal next time is to do both all the way, and obviously start at like 6 or 7 a.m. instead of noon, and stay inside the park, because then you don't have to worry about getting in every day and waiting in that long line, and then you also don't have to worry about driving in general. So that is what I learned. So I did do, and I also didn't go to Taft Point, which I knew there was a place that was a famous photography spot, but I just couldn't think of the name of it. And I thought it might have been Glacier Point, and that was just it. But then I realized after the fact that it was also Taft Point, which is a different area. So I'll also want to do that next time. So I kind of did my Yosemite trip like halfway. It was also extremely hot, so it just, energy gets sucked from you super fast. And then we did watch, well, what did we do after that? We went back to the river again, and we went in the river. We were gonna go to a different part of the river, but it was just kind of gross, so we went to the part that was nice and like rocky and clear. So I got fully submerged again, and that time the sun was even further down, and it was slightly colder, so it was more of like a struggle, but I did it twice. And then we went on this cute hike. It was more of like a stroll. This is honestly like the highlight. So if you made it this far, you're in for a special treat. So we are going on this stroll, and as we're starting it, people are like, oh, like, watch out, we saw some bears. And we're like, ooh, bears, really? Like, I really want to see a bear. So I was really excited and really hoping and praying that we would see a bear. And so we're walking on this path, and then we hear someone being like, oh my gosh, there's a bear. Like, no, sorry, they didn't say anything. They were just stopped. That's what it was. They were ahead of us, and they were stopped and taking pictures. And so we're like, oh my gosh, we think that's a bear. And so we get close to them, and then we hear that it's a bear, and then we're like following this bear. It's on the other side of like the ravine creek thing. And so we felt like safe enough away, like it would have had to like come down the ravine creek thing and then come up to get us. So we're a good distance, but still could see it very visibly and very well. I didn't have my zoom lens with me, which is so unfortunate, because that just would have been really awesome if I did, but I didn't. Oh well. But I got some videos and I think some pictures, but mostly videos of the bear. And that was just so fun and so amazing. It was a mama bear and a baby, and they were so cute. The little baby was just kind of leading the way and like exploring, and the mom was following behind. And we were just following it because it was walking like parallel to us. I just hit this pole off camera. Walking parallel to us, and we like more and more people started to obviously gather as they were walking and finding out that there's a bear. And then there were people on the other side that were coming down this trail or wherever they were on, and we're like, hey, like there's a bear either right in front of you or right behind you, I think it was. Like, so watch out, be careful. And they're like, oh my gosh, thanks. And then they like come across the ravine and come to our side. And by that point, we pretty much kind of lost the bear. It went up way too high into the trees and stuff. But apparently someone else did see it like later down, and we got to Mirror Lake because that was our end destination. And I was like, it would have been so cool if the bears decided to go swimming. I would have died. There were people, like 1 or 2 people in the lake, so probably wouldn't have done that. But it was beautiful, and we watched. It was probably like golden hour while we were there, and then we were driving outside the park, and then we saw like the huge panorama of Yosemite before you come out or go into the tunnel or come out. And so we saw the sunset there, and then we drove back to the campsite, and it's like dark at this point. I got my car, and then we drive down, and I'm supposed to meet a friend. I was gonna stay at a friend's house, and originally Emily and I would have left and gotten to her place Tuesday night, and then she wasn't going because I originally asked my friend if we could stay with her, and she just wasn't like able to host many guests. And then last minute, when everything was starting to change, Isaac, I was like, well, can I stay with you, Isaac, then? And he just didn't have room in his place, so he was like, I'll pay for you to get an Airbnb. And I was like, well, that's really nice of you, and they're way more expensive than they think they are. So then I was like, wait, let me reach out to my friend Sydney again and see if I can stay with her, since it's just gonna be me this time. And she said yes. And so then I finally got to Sydney's house. I didn't have data for like the longest time, which was really freaking me out, but then I finally turned off my phone. I like reconnected with Ethan, because for the longest time I was following him down the mountain, and then he had to go get gas. And so then I had to call him because he had my park pass still. And so we met up, exchanged park passes. I was going to leave. He was going to get gas and get food or whatnot. And then I realized my data still wasn't working, and I had like no way of getting to Sydney's house. So then I had to go back, and I had to like have him help me figure out my phone. He's like, why don't you try turning it off and turning it back on? So I did that, and it finally worked. And then I got to her place pretty late, I think like 10 p.m. And so, yeah. And then I woke up the next day, and then we chatted for a few hours before I had to leave and go to the pregnancy center. And then after the pregnancy center, I went straight to Riverside. So I did a ton of driving that day. It was very exhausting, but it was such a fun, soulful experience for me. This is a 23-minute long video, so obviously I had a lot to say about Yosemite, but it was really memorable. I also want to say that we saw a 6-point buck, I think is what it's called, as well when we were in the car. So we saw so many cool animals, and it was just so spontaneous, and I was just so happy that God just lined everything up perfectly. You know, like obviously it would have been amazing if Emily could have come, but it was just so much sweeter to have that like Renaissance reunion with my 2 guy friends, and to get to see them again, both of them at the same time, like the way it was us as a trio, and just the like personalities coming together, the differences and the similarities, and just the fun conversations and jokes. It was truly just like so wonderful and so just meaningful to me and very sweet. And so I'm so thankful that God lined that up and reconnected us for that wonderful adventure. And maybe we'll have another adventure next year and have some wonderful memories. So I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was a long one, but I think worth it, and it was more lighthearted, so that's always a plus. And I'll see you guys next time. I also didn't get wet, so yay to that. And yay for sweater weather. Okay, bye.